everybody? Happy Friday. This is Overpass Live. I'm Eric. I make apps. This is the weekly live stream where we talk about whatever we want to talk about. And I think I need to close the blinds behind me. I realize that the camera's a little bit far away. Oh, just move that forward. You know, let's get intimate. Let's just, let's move in a little bit. So yeah, this is the weekly live stream. We talk about whatever we want to talk about. This week has been a week. It's been super busy for me. It went from and the weather turned, and I think it's the same thing. I think the mood changes when it starts to get colder. But it's been today, especially, just been a day with developers and trying to get something done, and the ridiculous time scale sometimes you hear. It's like you got a project where you assume it could be like I think this project will be like 3 weeks, right? That's easy, right? Maybe so let's say 6. We'll say it'd be 6 weeks, and then the developer goes and it's like 3 months, and then it's or 6 months or whatever. It's just some ridiculous time scale sometimes. Can you guys hear me okay? My mic is sounding a bit weird. Okay, let me have a look at this. Advanced audio device. Can you guys hear me okay? Let's see. Let's switch to. I'm gonna camera switch audio. Is that any better? Is it too loud? Testing 1 2 3. It burns us. Why is it so loud? Let's see if we can make this go down a little bit. How's that? Is that any better? How's that? Is that any better? That should be. Hopefully that. Let's move it further away. Now I'm looking at the mic levels. Yeah, it hurts in the ears. All right. Okay. All right. Echoes. All right. Let's see. Let's switch to. I'm going to switch to another. All right. How's that? Is that any better? Before we go on any further, is that microphone any better? Basically, I'm using the one on the webcam, which is far away. Not at all. Jeez. All right. Maybe we'll have these weeks where we don't do a very long live stream because of audio issues. One built into the computer. Oh, is that a lot better? Let's see. How about that? Okay, this is the third microphone, which is actually going from the Mac, which is, that tinny little nasty microphone. Is that any better? Let's see. All right. Okay, we'll go with it. We'll go with this microphone, which is, I think, the one on the MacBook itself. So, anyway, all right. So this week, it's been, that was good. Then you turn it down. All right, let's see. See if you're too far away. Cute. See, now I know. Now I gotta wonder if you guys are just playing with me. All right, I'm gonna go to this one. Let's go to this one. And how does this sound? Okay. All right. I don't know what the delay. If you guys are actually in front of the one I'm looking at. Boy, wow. That's this is like. Okay, this is like painful this week. All right. So now I'm just talking to the one on. No. From the Mac is okay. Tiny hiss, but not bad. All right, we'll go with the tiny hiss from the Mac. Or we just scrap it this week. We all go over and watch the other live stream. We could do that. Okay, so I'm getting messages saying the sound is good. All right. Okay, we'll go with this. That is the mic. Okay, this is the MacBook's mic. Okay, cool. All right, we'll go with this. So where was I? Oh yeah, rubbish week. Shall we vote on it? The problem is, all right. Okay, let's do it. Let's vote on it. Good idea. All right, let's say this is. Let's go with. This is mic number 1. This is mic number 2. And this is mic number 3. All right, so go ahead, put your vote in. This will be our new feature where we just go by the rubbish equipment. So one of the things that happened this week was that my MacBook just slowed way down. Like I decided I would do like a just try to speed it up a little bit, Google a few things, make some changes. and then it was trying to sync everything with iCloud. It did like a full reinstall, and then everything was sluggish. I mean, it was like one of those things where I started to realize how much, as a developer, how reliant I am on the 7-year-old MacBook Pro that I got in early 2013, and it's and I started thinking, well, this is like, if I can't work, then I starve. Okay, 3. So this is okay. 3. Good, got it. Boy, there's quite a delay. Fantastic. So yeah. So I started thinking, like as a developer, especially when you're doing contracting, your computer is like the most important thing that you have. So I was trying to think, do I get another MacBook? Do I get another iMac? So I did order an iMac, even though it was some kind of thing which I didn't necessarily want to do. It was like I didn't want to buy a new iPhone, but it was like, kind of needed the upgrade the equipment, all that kind of stuff. It's important for the job. So at least that's something. Right now, my my MacBook, it just sounds like it's like it's an old man. Like when I open an application, it groans at me. It goes like, oh, all right, I'll open up that IDE for you. So it's a bit tough. So anyway, let's see who's here today, all complaining about the audio. App 404, what's up, Eric? What's up, App 404? My favorite line. Hey, this is Overpass Insights. My name is Eric, and I, Southern accent, make apps. I don't have a Southern accent. I don't think so. A says, hey, Eric, have you noticed that when you release a new build or change your screenshots or update your apps, not even changing any keywords, and a few hours later its ranking drops? I haven't noticed that. I mean, but how long does it stay that way? No, I haven't noticed that, but I suppose it would have to re-index, wouldn't it? Cruz Mayor, hey, Eric, how are you? I'm doing good, Cruz. How are you? Mega Man is 3rd. Cruz Mayor is 4th. James, oh, hey, James, how's it going? Hey, Eric, stay safe. Thank you very much. You too. Oh, 5th. Oh, yeah, let's all number ourselves. Bart Rock is here. Hey, everyone, happy Friday. Guess lockdowns are over, lol. Yeah, you know what? This week it feels like they're over, but I went to the office this morning to pick up my mail, or my post, as we say here. I went to go pick up my post, and it was like, it still seemed very empty. It feels like the traffic's picked up, the weather's gotten bad again. It feels like things are returning back to normal, but then but then you realize that all the coffee shops are still closed, all the cinemas are still closed, all the pubs are still closed. Everything is still closed. And I just went to Asda like quickly before the live stream, which is there's an Asda across the street, which is a shop. It's a grocery store, but this is like a small one. It's not like one of the big ones. And I was able to find face masks. I wasn't looking for them, but I saw them, so I did get a bunch of disposable face masks. And now, because I only got they were like £3.50 for a pack of 4, so it's like £7. I got 8 of them. And now that I have 8 disposable face masks, I got to think, what warrants wearing the face mask? Like, I can't just wear it like whenever, right? I got to wait till like there's something like really special, like I'm going into some dangerous situation because it's disposable. So I want to get one of those really, like I want a reusable face mask, and I know I can make one of my own, but I get this needle and thread out and everything. Let's see. Cruz Meyer says, "What's your next major indie project? You need to have another EarSpy type success. It would be awesome, dude. I totally agree with you." So we did. So we did have a new member join the team this week, Amir, who's actually answered some questions for him on the live stream once before. So he did some work on EarSpy for iOS, but there's a few other changes I want to make to it before we put it live. And then he started working on a client project, and I've been working on a few client projects. And I'm in that stage now where it's just if you guys could see the drama before the live stream starts, where I have these conversations with the development team, and they're going, "Yeah, Eric, we think we could get this done by the 31st of July." And I'm thinking, what? Like 31st of July? You've been working on this for months. Like, why? It's like, well, our developers are busy and everything like that. I was like, so I'm having this irrational thought of, I could just pull like 6 all-nighters in a row and just be done with the thing, right? Or, just like not sleep. But usually I calm down. But it's one of those things. There have been projects in the past where the developers were going slower than anticipated. There's like a few too many bugs that I don't like, and then I think maybe I should just take this over and work it on myself. And then sometimes I think, all right, let's let them finish it, because it is unfair to take something away from the developer in the middle and to judge them based on that at that stage in the development. And then there have been times we get to the end of development and it's just like, then it goes to the clients very unhappy and stuff like that. So I'm at that stage now where I got to think, do I take this over now or give it to somebody else? I call it a pitching change, right? So in baseball, when the pitcher gets tired, you swap out the pitcher for a fresh pitcher. But with development and code, it's difficult because the new pitcher comes in and says, we have to change everything that's happened up until now. So I really just need, so anyway, I've just been having, So anyway, sorry, Ramon. Thanks everybody for hitting the like button too, by the way. Let's see, and Cruz also says, how often do you use Android Studio and what are your favorite parts of it? Personally, I love it. I don't use it very often at all. If I do Android development, I use, I'm one of the JetBrains users. So I use WebStorm for web. And because I used to use ReSharper when I was in Visual Studio. So if you use any of the JetBrains tools, and there's a subscription. So so I use a JetBrains. So I use IntelliJ, IDEA. I use IntelliJ, which is the same thing that Android Studio is made from. Now, every so often in IntelliJ, you'll find out that there's like something in Android Studio that isn't quite yet released in IntelliJ, which is just strange because Android Studio should be a subset of IntelliJ, but so I do use that. But it's the same kind of thing, right? And I don't know. It depends on how new you are to Android development. If you're back in the Eclipse days, Eclipse. I hated Eclipse, right? Going from Eclipse to, so like I was doing Visual Studio. So going from Eclipse to Visual Studio to like Sublime Text, I was doing JavaScript, and going to Xcode, it was like the shortcut keys were different, the layouts were all different, everything was just different about it. And it was just tough, right? And one of the nice things about using the JetBrains tools is at least you got the same keyboard shortcuts and everything. So, which again is different than the different IDEs. So, and that's one thing. So on JetBrains, I'll use IntelliJ for Android stuff. I'll use WebStorm for any Ionic or Node.js. Although sometimes I'm really every so often I'll go into Visual Studio Code because I mean it's a really good scripting code. Was it? Yeah, code. It's not an IDE, but you know what I mean. So I'll go to VS Code. And then for data access, I'll use DataGrip. So DataGrip, I use DataGrip mostly to go to SQL Server because there's not a really good IDE or a really good console for SQL Server on a Mac, right? If I was on Windows, I would be using SQL Server Management Studio, but on a Mac, you don't have a lot of things. And if I'm doing MySQL, I use MySQL Workbench. And what's the other ones I use? Oh yeah, and I try to use .code, which is like the equivalent of Xcode, but it's just too weird. And I use Writer now. I use Writer for Xamarin, although every so often they do have a few bugs which I've raised, and I think they're gonna fix with the hot reload and stuff like that. Ooh, isn't that exciting? Well, I've just just rambled on. Ayush, hey Eric, happy Friday. Happy Friday, Ayush. Hi, says, how's your quarantine going? Protests are getting crazy where I am. So far, things are still pretty calm here. It's really strange to see in the States everything that's going on. I got a text message from somebody the other day saying, Eric, I'm so sorry everything that's happening in your country. And it's kind of weird because I've been here such a long time. I felt like the only other time that's happened where somebody gave their condolences to me, somebody who's like in the States or who's in England, was after 9/11. Like after 9/11, everybody started saying to me, Erica, how you doing? Are you okay? And I was like, I felt like it was just a weird feeling. And then when somebody says that about that, but really I've been gone for such a long time. But it's all the protests and everything. I guess there's a protest, the Black Lives Matter protest, but then there's also the protest against the lockdown. And I think this thing has run its course. Like I think a lot of people want to know what the plan is, right? We can't just stay isolated forever. So at some point we have to maybe let some people go out and catch it, and then some other people go out and catch it, and we get the herd immunity drip by drip. But I have no idea. I have no idea what it is. I'm not a scientist. I'm just doing what I'm told. I'm obviously not a scientist. Dan Fox. Hey Dan, how's it going? Ayush says, hey Eric, are you planning on making Android Wear apps, Android TV apps? It'd be pretty cool to play a bubble bath game on TV. I did look into that for a while, specifically Android Wear, and because I was using frameworks like Ionic, I was like, can I do an Android Wear with Ionic? And no. I mean, you could. There were certain ways, but you had to like write your own plugins and everything like that. So you might as well just do it native to begin with. And for Android TV, no, I haven't really looked into that at all. I guess it's because I don't have an Android TV and haven't actually done anything in that way. But and I also have not heard a lot of good success stories about people who have been able to make revenue from that. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't delved into it. It's kind of like the speaker thing. I've got the Echo speaker in this room. I've got the Google speaker in the other room, and all I ever do is play music on them. I was doing a lot of stuff with Dialogflow in the beginning, but when it came to monetization, I didn't really see a lot of examples of people able to monetize with it. So that was one of the reasons why I kind of, it's sort of like my enthusiasm waned a little bit on it. John Mollahan, just gave you your first thumbs down. Don't worry, I'll change it later. Thanks, John. I appreciate it. So it's you. Phil J says, "Hey Eric, you're peaking hardcore. What does that mean? I'm peaking? This is one of those like, well, my age might be letting me down. Where peaking? Yeah, I know. Yeah, of course I'm peaking. I peak like 3 times a day. 3 times a week. Let's see. Jim Bob, your mic is sounding a bit weird. Okay, here we go. To all the Fist007. Hey, how's it going? Theo Taylor. Audio's high pitched. Okay, so something wrong with my audio. Hopefully it's okay. And then we went through all that. Okay, Master IT Security. Hello, Eric. Why don't you offer people suggest their apps for review, then do a video on them? Would you also offer the audience to review said app, preferably positively? Yeah, I think that's the reason why. I mean, it's. I thought about doing that. I mean, one of the night. If somebody wants to have a look at an app on the live stream, they'll have a look at the live stream. And this is one of the things that has come up several times. I mean, I've hired people to say, I want to do better at the YouTube channel, so look at SEO and stuff like that. And it always comes back to the suggestion, why don't you review other people's apps? Or, and then why don't you do like Motivation Mondays and Taco Tuesdays or whatever, something like have some structure to it, which would probably be good, but it just doesn't sound fun to me. And we could do it where we review other people's apps, I suppose, but then would that be interesting for everybody else? Or would it just be like, one person likes it? I mean, is that something you guys would like to see? Like, would you watch somebody else's app being reviewed? And going through it? Because it would be really good publicity for that one person, especially if it's positive. But what if it isn't? What if it's negative? What if I say, I don't like it? Then what? Then I'm just, I feel awful about it. TechWayku says, "Oh my God, time flies. I feel only 2 or 3 days have passed since the last time podcast." I know it has. It has gone by very quickly, hasn't it? Let's see. Anywhere on the votes for the thing. Fist007, smash that like button, y'all. Fist007, I've been fighting a bug in my Angular app that was a typo that I had a very hard time to see. Yeah, that's one of the problems with. That is one of the big benefits of typed languages and compiled languages is that you catch those things early on. And with interpreted languages and dynamic languages like JavaScript, you could have a typo and you would never even know it doesn't work. Let's see. You says can't see the comments on the screen. You can. Can you guys see the comments on the screen? Fist007. Who makes his own mask? Batman. I don't know. You probably know Alfred. Alfred does probably. Who makes his own mask? Zorro? Zorro? Can you help him anyway, does he? Although he does have that plantation and everything. Don Diego de la Vega. Simon's Overtime. Hey, how's it going? Love seeing you. How much flat changes week after week. Yes, I put soundproofing things up. Hopefully to try to control some of the echo that comes through here. And also because I just thought it would look cool. I was like looking for something to put up there. I was talking to somebody, she was saying like movie posters would be good. And I thought, yes, it's my bachelor pad, movie posters would be awesome. And I thought, that's what I'm going to do. Because that's like, you know, when I was a kid, I always wanted to have movie posters on the wall. And that's what I do. I'm going to have something like, and then I started thinking, well, which way do you go if you get movie posters? You go with like something classic like Casablanca, which wasn't, I mean, I wasn't that big a fan, but it makes me look really smart. Or do I go with something like something that I really like Police Academy 5? Something that like immediately just dumbs me down if I ever get any guests, right? Or like, oh, you're a big fan of Porky's 2 the Revenge? But no, it's Porky's 3 the Revenge. Porky's 2 the Next Day, for those of you guys who are. But yeah, thanks. Tech Who says, hey, Eric, which cloud server would you recommend I use worldwide? For cloud servers, it depends. I mean, so lately I've been doing a lot of stuff with Firestore and Firebase. I've also got some, but like but you're kind of in their ecosystem. If I was going to do like a Node.js thing, I like Heroku because I just like being able to spin it up and just being able to start it and stop it whenever you want. Worldwide, I've never heard of Worldwide. And when you talk about like a cloud server, I assume you mean like a cloud app service, like so Azure has app services, AWS has Lambda, and Creams. Is it Lambda? It is Lambda, isn't it? So the one where you could just do you just push your Git repository. It'll run the npm install and everything, and just deploy everything for you. You don't have to worry about how much disk space you have or anything like that. So I mean, being different than actually setting up a virtual server. For a virtual server, I still have a virtual server on AWS, which costs a lot of money actually. And then also I'm using DigitalOcean at the moment because DigitalOcean is kind of cool. I mean, it's a lot cheaper. So I do have a couple of servers on DigitalOcean. If that answers your question. Let's see. Fist up 7. Eric, you should always use first-party IDE or you'll get hurt somewhere along the road. I know. I'll get hurt someday. You know what? Those third-party frameworks, they're going to let you down eventually. You know, some point they're going to go away, like Corona SDK, which is now Solar 2D. Let's see. Take or do it. I don't have any prior experience in hosting a cloud server. Yeah, I think it's kind of like. Yeah, I think it's. I mean, there's cloud servers, and then there's like you having like a actual having a Linux server running in the cloud. So having something like an AWS service on EC2, which is stands for. Is it Elastic Cloud 2? I don't know what it stands for, but it's like that's where you actually host your like a Linux server, a Windows server, whatever. And it's the same thing as having something remotely, but it's a VPS, a virtual private server. If I get any of these acronyms wrong, let me know. This is the way I always think about them. All right. So there's that, and then there's the other ones where you have the actual just the stuff running. So Google has it too. Google has their own. Not only do they have Firebase and Cloud Functions, but they also have that service available through GCP, Google Cloud Platform. Whew. All right, acronyms. IRL, IDK. All right, who uses another IDE than Visual Studio to build professional .NET apps? Only a fool or a hobby guy. Shut up. You know what? Here's what I like doing. I like having So I like having the same keyboard shortcuts and the same IDE experience between different tools. right? So one of the things I hate is going from, so if I was, back in the day, when you were just a sparkle in your dad's eye, I was doing visuals, doing stuff in Visual Studio or Visual Basic, right? And it bugged me when I would go to another tool and say like just Notepad, back in those days, what was it, Notepad++ or whatever, and the keyboard shortcuts were different, and everything was just a whole different usability thing. And one of the nice things about having JetBrains is you have it spread across all of them. However, I will tell you that using JetBrains Writer for Xamarin development this week, or for the last few weeks, there's been some things about it really good, but they have bugs with the hot reload is not working. So I have to go back to Visual Studio on Mac and use that too. So. Anyway, quit teasing me, Fist007. Hey, wish you a good day. Thanks very much. I wish you a good day too. Fist007, and France is saying that 70% of the population is already immune to the COVID-19, and all of this misreaction from the scientific community. Yeah, it's difficult to argue with the scientific community, though, isn't it? I'm from Algeria, by the way, not from France. Yeah, I know it is. Yeah, it's. I think it's like. It's just weird. I mean, it's one of the things I try really hard not to do is get too caught up in it. Like I'm just gonna okay, so today I'm just gonna hang out around the flat again, right? Or today I'm just gonna go for a walk, or today I'm just gonna whatever, and not to be thinking about the fear of missing out because I'm not able to do this or whatever, and it's kind of, since everything's gone on pause, it's kind of okay, but there's lots of people who are missing, like I think, starting to think, these are my freedom years. Like I just moved into my bachelor pad. I want to go out and and be reckless and get arrested and get tattoos and all that kind of stuff. Not really. All right. So Manic Acharya says, "What do you do if you're not? What do you do if you are not an Android developer? Develop iOS apps, I guess. How many downloads are you getting per day these days? I haven't checked it in ages. Where I used to have, because I used to look at my one big application, and that was basically what I looked at. And every so often I would go in and just take get like a combination of all of them. App Annie was a good tool for doing that, but I haven't looked at it recently. Yeah, I wouldn't be. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look. Regarding peaking, lol, no worries. It was your mic. It's good now. Oh, okay, peaking. Oh, okay. Mr. Zombie says, which tools or IDE is best for iOS app development? I never use developer iOS, and I find Xcode a little difficult. Find Xcode a little difficult? Really? Just a little difficult? It's like a monstrosity. It looks like, if it was it's like if they just put things wherever. If you even the stuff that's important, like, signing it or putting the package name. I mean, they have it on the general tab, but every so often you change the general tab and you still have to go back to the build settings tab, or you have to go to the info.plist, and sometimes they'll tell you what the info.plist is using the XML, and sometimes they'll tell you what it is using the drop-down, and the drop-down and the XML value don't match, so depending on the documentation you're looking at, you don't know which one you're actually changing, right? You go in there and you're adding all that kind of stuff. You set the capabilities are in one place, and then you got the linking and non-linking, you got link errors here and there, and it's just, to me, it's just like a ridiculous tool, right? I hate using Xcode. I use Xcode all the time. Right? And even building and deploying, right? What's a good name for building and deploying? How about archiving? Let's archive the build. Yeah, why not? That makes sense, right? Why call it publishing? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Xcode at all. I know a lot of you guys probably use Xcode all the time, and you're like, no, Xcode's awesome, man. Because okay, there are a few things in it where, like, when I do find them, I'm like, it's like I find things in Xcode, like I find, like you find something like these little nuggets of things. Like after you've been exploring Xcode for long enough, you find like, oh wow, you could like examine the network traffic. Or you can't view the network traffic without using something like Charles and look at the packets going back and forth. But you can find like the network traffic and the memory usage and everything like that during certain charts and stuff like that. And I've seen those things before. I couldn't tell you how to get to them. It's like, I just stumble across them, and it's like a casino. Like you can't find your way around. Certain things are opening. You click on something. Sometimes it opens up in the main window. Sometimes it opens in another window. So it's just. But let's see. Wow, Cole, super chat, $20. Thanks, Cole. Really appreciate that. Eric, do you find yourself using complex concepts like data structures, algorithms, and patterns in mobile dev? Am crash coursing in .NET Core 3.0. It's a ton. So I'm learning Flutter mobile dev seems so different. Yeah, I mean, so if you're doing ASP.NET Core 3.0, have you thought about Xamarin? I was not a Xamarin fan, but this last week I've been using it a lot, looking at some of the capabilities of it. But at least it's something where you can use the same types of language going back and forth. Flutter is something I think I really like the hot reload on it and being able to maintain the state with the reload. But like I had this problem last week where was just trying to connect to Firestore, and adding that Firestore library just caused everything to just slow down, and compile times on iOS using a simulator were taking over 10 minutes, right? And apparently it's some known bug in the system, and so hopefully it'll be fixed. But it was kind of one of these things where it kind of threw me a little bit. So that's why I started doing this one project in Xamarin. But in terms of complex data structures, algorithms, and patterns with mobile dev, yeah, sometimes. I mean, there's certain things where you do, like, talk about design patterns. I mean, one that you use a lot would be the singleton one, right? Would you use anything else? I mean, it really depends on how structured you are. Sometimes it's just slapdash, get it done, get it out the door. Other times you need to, being able to think things in a logical, structured way. So, to give you an example, one of the client projects that I was looking at recently, the developers it's got a bunch of API calls in it. Right, for me, I would prefer all the API calls to go through one function, right? They're not, since you're doing a mobile app, they're not all that function is not going to be called again and again and again. But if you need to put some tracking or analytics in it, you have to put it in one place. Or if something changes on the server, or you need to add something there, you have one place where everything goes through, and to me it's just cleaner, right? You have so you set up an abstract class which has your data access either through the database, like the local SQLite database, or through the API, and use that abstract class, and then you have the service classes for each of your objects on top of it. So then that way they can just reach in there, grab it, and convert it into the type that you need, and then you're using the objects as opposed to just referencing the JSON that comes back. I was looking at some code the other day, which was, again, it was like, connecting to an API, getting the JSON, and not even loading the JSON into objects, just plugging it into like text fields, and then when I hit save, then it goes through and checks all the text fields to see if they've changed, and then it puts them back, right? Not even an object-oriented thing, and it infuriates me. That's the kind of thing where it's either naive or it's lazy, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's naive, right? But that's the kind of thing where it's important to do that, right? If you have that abstract class which handles all that kind of stuff, then you're writing your component that connects to the API only one time, right? And then you're just passing the parameters through. So you have like the base. Like for REST functions, you would have like the base URI, which you could change. You could change it in one place if you're going to development or production, and then you could, So to answer your question, yes, definitely. And for algorithms, yeah, we do algorithms sometimes. That's usually when I use unit tests. So an algorithm example. I'm trying to give examples that are not specific to any one client, but this is one where I'm not that big on unit testing unless there's an algorithm in place. Like I'm thinking, okay, I think I could say this one without. Yeah, I could say this one without giving away anything. So being able to paste a phone number So I have a phone number field with a mass edit of a phone number, right? And if we want to start off because we want it to be mobile, we want it to be 07 for a UK mobile number. However, if somebody goes through and copies a phone number from their contacts, which is a viable use option, and they paste it in there, then you can either have +44 0 +44 bracket 0, whatever. So all these different permutations would be able to put something into like one function just to say clean up this phone number and give it back to me in the solution that I want. And so looking at different ways to do it, maybe just take the last few digits, maybe do whatever, transform it. But that's the kind of thing where you want to be able to test that again and again and again and write loads of unit tests for it. And that way, if some exception comes up, you plug that into the unit test and it runs through. So that kind of algorithm. I hope that answers the questions, Colt. Let me know if you have any others. And thanks very much for the super chat. Mr. Zombie, check Sean Allen's channel. Most important question for our Friday: peanut butter or Nutella? Both. So for me, it's peanut butter. I have like giant. I went to Costco and got the giant peanut butter tub, and I've been putting it in my protein shakes and stuff like that. You know, I've been putting it in my protein shakes. You know, for the protein, for the guns. So yeah, but Nutella is kind of a like I've never had Nutella growing up. I'm sure it existed, but my parents never bought it. But now I have like since I moved to England, there's quite a few times where I saw the Nutella in the cupboard and thought, and the peanut butter Nutella sandwich is something it's like Reese's, right? It's like a Reese's cup. What do you use for push notifications? So it depends on a lot of times it depends on the client, but we use we've always used. Because a lot of our projects were from the GCM days, the Google Cloud Messaging days. So we had like Azure has something called Notification Hub, and there was something called Air. God, what was it called? Air Commando or something. There was some other. I can't remember what the name was. It was some clever name that was not memorable. But now it's like Firebase. I mean, if you have to, so the thing about Firebase, which is really clever, is like if you have to use Firebase for your Google messaging now, using Firebase Cloud Messaging instead of Google Cloud Messaging, then you might as well use that for your iOS messaging too. But I haven't actually done that. I haven't actually done it from the iOS side. So we still have like a project which goes through APNS, the Apple Push Notification Service, for iOS applications, and it goes through Facebook Cloud Messaging now for Google. So, Shivam, hey Shivam, how's it going? Whenever I think to make Android TV, Wear, etc., for indie projects, if it ain't making money, then I ain't doing it. I know, that's just it. I mean, but there's going to be somebody who's going to be first there, who's going to be like, you know, they're going to be like, I'm sure there are people who didn't make apps to begin with, and there's a few people went on there. Like somebody was asking me the other day about Chad Moretta, and he did a book, App Empire, about all you have to do is do a fake fingerprint scanner, fool your friends, right? And it was just like some like ridiculous app, like even especially now, like whatever, 12 years later, it just seems like a ridiculous thing, you know. But back then it was like, yeah, people will download any crap you put on there, right? But then everybody have their get rich doing those. So what you could do, Shivam, is you could like make your Apple TV application, and regardless of how well it does, you could be the guy who says, "Get rich with your Apple TV app," and they will know, or their Android TV app. Nutella, really Nutella? Yeah, Shivam. Spider-Man does make his own mask. Yes. How could he? Spider-Man. So I have in my garage. I have Spider-Man number 252, which was the introduction of the Venom costume. Well, you didn't know it was Venom at the time, but the alien black suit, right, from the 80s, mid-80s, early 80s. So yeah, Spider-Man was my thing, and I had all four. I would get all four of them. There was the Amazing Spider-Man, Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. What was it? Was it just Spider-Man? Oh, there was like 4 different titles, and then they mixed them all into one where it come out once a week. And I don't know what it is now, right? But yes, you're right. Spider-Man. God, how did I not think of that? I'm kicking myself for not knowing the answer to that one.
Chris Bala says, for cloud servers, I've been using DigitalOcean for years, no issues. Yeah, but yeah, for servers, for cloud servers. Yeah, if you haven't used cloud, I mean, I like the I got AWS because I thought AWS is where it's at. Lots of businesses go to AWS, but AWS is expensive, and DigitalOcean's a lot cheaper. Um, I hope Eric sees my comment before it goes away since it's attached to a paid comment. Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, no, I really appreciate it, Colt. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. If anybody else wants to do any super chats, go right ahead. But I appreciate it, Colt. Let's see. Where are you from? By the way, I'm from Morocco. So I'm. Well, I was going to try to give a clever answer, but I'm American, but I've been living in England for 22 years. In fact, a couple weeks ago was the 22nd year anniversary. So, but yeah, a lot of people say I still have the accent. I don't have British citizenship. I'm still a foreigner. I have an American passport. It just, yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. My kids are growing up here, so I want to be close to them. Colt says, looks like I cannot cancel. I can only remove. Oh, did you want to remove it? I did. Did I see the paid comment? Okay. Colt, I said I can't. I guess he can't see paid comments. I did. Did I not do it? I don't see them. They don't pop up for me here on this tool. But I hope I answered it quickly. I hope I answered it before you left. Theo Taylor, I agree. JetBrains IDEs, FTW. We just said this one a few weeks ago. FTW. Double shifts, all the things. FTW. Oh, for the win. For the win. Yes. Okay, got it. First of all, did what's it? Did Xamarin grow on you yet, or do you still prefer Flutter? Xamarin's starting to grow on me a bit. Although it's a huge file sizes, but I do like the way that I can. I mean, because I was C# developer, or I was back in the day, and I forgot all about link. It was just like being able to load everything up into my object list or my observable collection, and just being able to use a link query to continue to query that without having to go back to the database or the API. I forgot how cool that was. And I've gotten so used to, in JavaScript, just looping through and then looping through and looping through and filling up all my collections that way. So, Manic says, what do you suggest to all self-taught young developers that he should try web development or app development? I would say app development. I mean, there's a reason why I like working with apps as opposed to web, right? And I can do web, but what I hate dealing with loads of different types of browsers. I hate dealing with loads of different screen sizes, and I know in apps you can have different screen sizes, and you have different types of Android devices. But you also, if you're native, then you have to worry about so much about the way it renders on different machines. If you have if you're using like a web view, even if you use something like Ionic or Cordova, you have a lot more control over which browser is shown in that web view. Like it's going to be Safari, or it's going to be Chrome in later Android devices. It's going to be Android browser in the earlier ones, right? Or you could use Crosswalk, which is what that was there for. So I find that to be a lot easier, just to focus more on the programming. And one of the things I really couldn't stand was when I was doing web stuff, and even using like a tool like, even using frameworks like when jQuery came out. That made it a little bit easier to not have to check to see what the browsers were capable of, and just being able to, rather than use vanilla JavaScript. But it was, there's nothing worse than, you put it out there into the world, and then somebody tries to look at an IE6 or some other browser that you hadn't tested it on, and then it's got a problem, and then you got to go and either dumb down everything or find like a shim or some way to get that to work on that one. But that's just my opinion. Shri says, hi, any Google Play Store alternative to publish apps? Yeah, we all know about those. There's Amazon. There's Amazon. There's Huawei. Let's see. Fist007 says, yeah, Apple sucks when it comes to development tools. They are good at making hardware, not software. Yeah, I suppose. Okay, here's some things I like about the Mac as opposed to Windows. And I know Windows has probably come a long way, but like the command line in or the command window in Windows was always just so stupid. And I don't know if they like you couldn't paste into a command window. And maybe you can in Windows 10 because I haven't been a big user of Windows 10, but I like using the terminal on a Mac. And I know it's the terminal on a Mac is a lot like the terminal on Linux, right? Because it's the whatever. But that was one of the things that I don't miss about Windows. Also on Mac you have the Finder window, which is like not okay. The Finder window is not nearly as flexible as Windows Explorer, at least not in my opinion. But there's some things I do like better on the Mac than I do on the Windows PC. Yeah, so when it comes to like Xcode though, Xcode I think I don't know who designed Xcode, but whatever it was, he was like it was all over the place. It was like it was like a Quentin Tarantino movie. Like it would start someplace, and then you got this other part finishes up like halfway down on another tab, and another part. It was like there's no continuity to it. Everything's just all over the place. But Shantru Kumar says, "Hi Eric, your views about native versus cross-platform apps." Okay, native. You can't go wrong with native. Like Fist007 said about development tools, right? If you go native, your heart's not going to get broken, right? You're going to be fine. Although I know with Swift, they keep changing the Swift versions, right, on Apple. But with native, you know it's going to work. With a cross-platform framework, you know it's going to work today, right? Yeah, so you don't know what's going to come along. Usually it's something to do with the deployment. And you got certain things like I said, Xamarin, something that I'm using right now. I've used Corona SDK in the past. I've used Ionic. I've used React Native. And usually you're pretty fine. Usually once you have something deployed and on the App Store, you're fine, or on the Play Store. Sometimes the compilation will be different. I have a lot more difficulty with Ionic and React Native than I have with other ones, just because you have all the dependencies and every time you run npm install, you got the dependency of a dependency of a dependency, and something has moved on or whatever. And even though you do the package lock, I just always have trouble with it. And I think for me, it might be a unique situation because I've got developers working on like different platforms, so they'll check things into Git, and I'll pull it down and I'll be running it, and I'll be like, God, I don't, it's not running for me. So maybe I have the wrong npm version, maybe the wrong node version, maybe the wrong whatever. And that can be a bit of a headache, but but if you do native, you're going to be fine. However, if you're releasing your own app and you're doing native, you're going to spend a lot more time. You're going to spend a lot more money on it. So that's the reason why we go for cross-platform. I don't go for cross-platform because it's better. I go for the cross-platform because it's faster, and I can do more, right? And if you look at, I know a lot of people like, I only do Android. I'm never going to do iPhone. Well, then you might as well go native. I like having that flexibility. I mean, even when I was doing Corona SDK, I was releasing the Android and iPhone, and then I thought, I could release a Mac app when that came available. So I released all my apps to Mac as well. So it was in the Mac App Store, and I did make a little bit of money that way. And I think I could have done it to Windows too, but like all these different avenues were open to me because I was using this framework on top of it. But let's see. Microsoft has always been the king when it comes to developers tools. I beg to differ. I will challenge you on that, Fist007. If you have never done SharePoint development, then you have never. Oh my God, Microsoft. Okay, so Microsoft came out with. They had ASP, which was pretty decent. Right, and then they came out with ASP.NET because you really want to drag things onto forums. Really, what you need is a WYSIWYG, right? So they came out with ASP.NET, right, and that was just a monstrosity. We had code behind and forms of code behind and everything like that. But then they kind of corrected their course, and they went with ASP was MVP framework, which they took something which was a framework, which was a design pattern, and then they made it kind of their own thing, but it was fine because it worked way better because you just had the HTML which went out to the browser. It wasn't like compiling all this stuff with these weird IDs that went out there. So then things started to go a little bit better. But then I got roped into this SharePoint project where we're doing SharePoint 10, and SharePoint 10 absolutely sucked. You would have people, I mean, and don't get me started about SharePoint because I nearly quit this job because of this stupid framework using SharePoint 10, and you had to run it on the server. You had to run a virtual machine, which was like 100 gigabytes in size, running on an SSD because the only way I could get it to go fast enough because that was the way that you did it, right? And so, and it was just, oh God, yeah, Microsoft has not always been at the top of the IDE at the developer tools. That is definitely not true. There are a lot of really smart people at Microsoft, and there are a lot of people who are trying to dumb it down, right? Or, we even had ASP. Don't get me started about this. ASP.NET. They had something called ActiveX control. So not ActiveX like the comp component, comp plus components, whatever. But they tried to run inside the browser, right? So they could run inside the browser, and then you could have this code inside the browser. Silverlight, I actually liked. I liked Silverlight as a development experience, but it didn't really catch on because of the dependence on Internet Explorer. But then you also had client-side VB script, from Microsoft, right? And they always try to feed you into a certain way, right? If you use a Microsoft tool, like it might work really well. Like I can remember when Microsoft, if you were trying to do an ASP.NET application and you were connected to SQL Server, there were just all these ways they could help you. But if you wanted to connect to MySQL, screw off. We don't need you. So no, they have not always been the king when it comes to developer tools, and I will challenge you to that. I mean, Microsoft is starting to get a little bit better again, but they have a lot to answer for. There's a reason why a lot of developers went to the Mac. There's a lot of reason why a lot of developers went to Linux especially. But sorry, just get me started. I'm a big Microsoft fanboy. I guess I should totally recognize it. Yeah, I'm not. I was always a Microsoft guy. I've been using a Mac for the last 7 years, but let's see. How do you restore Android billing? How do you restore billing in Android? You should be the same way, right? You do that thing where you check the purchases at the beginning. I use it I think I did it in Corona. But yeah, there should be a way. There is a restore. I don't know the actual way. Did you hear about Linux? Yeah, obviously. For in-app purchase, yeah, there should be a way to do that. I mean, there should be. So I've used it I've used it on Ionic, and I've used it in Corona. No, I've used it. No, yeah, there is. You go where you check the purchases. I think you could actually have a. I think my opinion on Black Lives Matter. I'm not going to touch that one. I think it's. Yeah, it's about not. Yeah, I'm looking at it as an outsider. I mean, I can't. I have no opinion on it. It's. I think it's. I don't know. I don't know what it's like. What people are going through. So I'm not going to speak to that. No dislikes today. We got one. Bronder, check again. Haha, hello appears. Appers, oh appers. All right, so Bronder, was that yours? Was that yours? Thumbs down. Thanks, dude. Peanut butter plus one. One signal. Pew pew says, hi Eric. At first, really nice videos you make for us. Hey, thanks. Really appreciate it. Then he says, on AdMob and other networks, I'm only receiving a very low ECPM of around 10 cents to 40 cents since Christmas 2019, even despite having much traffic for the US. And did it never pick up again? I mean, Christmas is going to be high at Christmas because they advertise it on everything. I know the ECPM is low now since in the pandemic and everything, but you should have more impressions. I mean, a lot of businesses just aren't advertising at the moment. With 1,000 to 2,000 daily impressions, I had a nice ECPM of $1.50 to $2.50. Now I'm at 10 to 20,000. My ECM lost to 10 to 40. That is a huge drop. Oh, wow. I had no idea it was that bad. If it any value, well, I might be showing too many ads within a short time. I wouldn't say so. I think if you look at your request RPM, well, actually no. Yeah, actually, yeah. Okay, cost me one. Maybe okay. So if you've increased the number of ads that you're showing in a short amount of time, yeah, that would be because it would be the revenue per mil, which is revenue per 1,000. So if you're showing more ads than people are actually clicking on, then yeah, that will drop your RPM or your ECPM. But I didn't realize it was that bad. Does anybody else notice that? Fist007 says, I once faked push notifications in the alarm service on Android to display a notification. It worked like a charm. Mashresi Asiam says, what do you use for authenticated user? I use Firebase, but same time not working. It depends. So Firebase is nice because it plugs into all those other services. So like one of the things I always do is I'll start on Firebase and then do the just do the email and login, the email authentication, and then that way I could go back through later and do it through the other stuff, as long as I associate that that Firebase authenticated user with the Firestore user so they can update their profile. But yeah, let's see. Shabahaz Shakir says, how to link my existing AdMob account to Appodeal account. Should I remove the existing AdMob ad units and make new ones using Appodeal's ad plugin package, or will it sync automatically? It should sync automatically. Basically, they have this Chrome plugin that when you run it, it will go through your AdMob and just start going. It's creepy. I don't know if they still do it, but it was a few years ago that I did it. Right? You would press a button and it would go through all of your ads and it would copy those in so that it would put like all those ad placements in there, right? And I didn't like the idea of them having access to all my AdMob and just being able to do it as if they were doing it on the, not through the API, but through the browser itself. MultiAlex246 says, can I use a single AdMob account for two different accounts? Two different developer accounts. As I have games account and an apps account, is it possible for me to advertise my games and my apps, which is in the app account? I would imagine it is. I've never had two Google Play accounts. I thought that would be difficult because you'd have to go through and, in fact, when my Google account was suspended, one of the things that really bothered me was I didn't want to set up like another Gmail account. I've had to do that for certain things that that didn't work with G Suite. Like I wanted to get the Google Play music for the family, right? And I couldn't do it through my G Suite account, so I had to set up another Google account so I could get this thing, and then I had to keep switching the browser back and forth, which is just I mean, the nice thing about having everything linked together is that you go straight from Google Developer Console into Gmail, into AdMob, into whatever, and you don't have to keep re-authenticating yourself. For the win, yeah, I got it. All right. Regarding peanut butter, all right, we're going to stay on peanut butter for a while. Right on, America. Right on. You know what? Yes, George Washington Carver. Did he do that? I totally forgot about there's a Costco in the UK. I need to restock my peanut butter supply. Is that where you get yours? Jif, Crunchy. So I got Skippy. I actually have Skippy peanut butter. It's not a huge thing. It's like, actually, this is the one that we just finished using. This is Skippy. This is not huge. Like if you're from the States, you think that's like a tiny thing of peanut butter. I thought you meant like a big tub. But like if you try to buy peanut butter here, that is huge. But yeah. So I go to Costco in Reading. Shabahaz says, is it okay to put a link to another app in a Google Play developer account in my app? Is there a Google developer policy regarding the issue? I don't think so, but just check. The Google developer policy is not that much to read. Fisto said, for me, for web apps, I feel the clients use a specific browser version or later save me myself headaches. Yeah, I totally get it. When you're quoting for an application, you have to say which browser it's definitely going to work on. And they'll say, shouldn't it work on all browsers? And you say, yes, it should. but I'm guaranteeing it's going to work on these ones, right? Because you can only test so many, right? You don't want to get in a situation where you got somebody on some browser that's that's on a phone or something that like just something you can't really tell what it is. Um, yeah, I mean it's not so bad now because with the smartphones you usually got Safari or Chrome, but like it used to be like you'd have all kinds of weird browsers out there. The problem with a public web app is for general consumption. Yeah, I know. Yeah, the CMD on Windows is a whole new level now. Okay, cool. Matthew, your computer's shaking. I know. I'm on the standing desk, and every so often I lean against it. That's it. I feel like I like to feel like Jerry Lee Lewis when I'm coding. I like everything to shake. I like to rumble. Roman says, Eric, looks like you couldn't see my previous comment. I received an email, monetize my app, which is supposed to alternative to AdMob ads. Do you have any experience with that? Oh, no, I didn't know. How did I not see that? Did I miss some comments? Sorry about that, Roman. No, I've never. Yeah, if you can see, if I missed your guys' comment, yeah, please let me ask it again because, and don't say you missed it, so I have to go looking for it. Just that would be. I appreciate that, Roman. But yeah, so it's. I've never used it. Monetize my app sounds dodgy. Is it actual? I mean, another thing about going like going with another ad network, it's not just the fact that you as a developer have to go into it. It's like they have to make sure that they have enough advertisers using it to actually have good fill rates. So it's like the chicken and egg thing, right? Nobody's going to advertise with them if it's not in any apps or hardly any apps, and and developers aren't going to install it if there aren't any advertisers. So, and I've never heard of it. Pistol 07 says Xcode is a joke. I'll see. Matthew says, does any Amazon devices use phone towers? I don't know. I don't know what that means. You mean like actual, like they work as phones? I think they would all use internet, but I don't know. Since I changed, Techway Koo says, since I changed the text to more apps, which clearly describe what will happen when I click the links, I think that's good. There's no problem. I mean, I don't see why there would be any problem with you advertising another developer's apps, right? Because, it might be a friend of yours or whatever, and you help each other out. I don't think they would have any problem with that whatsoever. You also need to write AD to add to advertise others, as far as I know. Yeah, I'll get you for that now. Yeah, except for a SharePoint, I'll give it to you. For web forms, they translated Windows Forms to the web. I know, what's that? Yeah, for apps at X to run outside the browser sandbox. Yeah. Tell me more about SharePoint 10, lol. That was a great rant. I'm right there, man. Fastest. I could leave that. The happier I've been. Dude, I hated working with SharePoint. And the thing is, I kept telling people, and they were going, like people who are not technical were telling me how great it was. How you used to have to set up a website, get a server. Now you just click a button and a website's created. And they go, that's not a website. That's a subweb, if anything, right? It's a section of the existing website, right? And they always have trouble. I feel you for my MySQL, MS tools. I totally feel you. Sorry to have that rant. Getting 200 to 500 impressions per day at $1 to $2 to $3 per day. That's better than before. That's not bad. Is that normal? Sounds pretty good to me. 100 to 200. Let's see. Fist up 7. Do we need to have opinions on Black Lives Matter? There is no such Black Lives. There's no such Black lives. There is life, and their lives are equal. Only laundry should be separated by color. You know what? There was a quote from Benjamin Franklin. I think it was a Benjamin Franklin quote where they said, why does it bother you to be referred to as English? And he says, it doesn't bother me if I were treated the same way that other English people are, right? And that's one of those quotes from history. And that's what I think about. I think, it's easy to say, yeah, we're all just one color, but, are we all treated the same? And I can't answer that, right? I have no idea what it's like to be in somebody else's shoes, right? I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I don't know what it's like to be, to be black. I don't know what that's like, right? It's easy to say from my position, whatever to give an opinion on it. But if it's yeah, I don't, it's there's it, yeah. I don't know. I think about that Benjamin Franklin quote a lot, right? It's easy to say, hey, hey, we're all Americans, right? But like, are we all being treated the same, right? And it's, and I couldn't answer that. I don't know what it's like to have, if my kids go out at night and have, worry depending on where I live, and how people are treated and everything like that. The reason I don't want to touch this is because I know it's such a polarizing thing, but it's, I don't know if you've ever seen Do the Right Thing with Spike Lee from the '80s, and Mookie Spike Lee is Mookie, and like through the whole movie he seems like the most chill of anybody, right? And then in the end he just picks up that trash can and he starts the riot, and it was like this this deep-seated anger that he had, and which was the powerful thing about that movie was because you didn't even see it, right? And it was just kind of the stuff he put up with, and again, I don't want to talk about this because I am like not the person to talk about it. I am a white American male, right? It's if So I'm not going to say anybody, if anybody's, I'm not going to say that anybody doesn't have a right to protest because I'm not in their shoes. Can't we all just get along? Yeah. My CTR is much higher with the 1,000 to 2,000 impressions. Before it was around 40%, and now it's 1.5%. Very weird. This is when I had around 40 daily users now, but now 600, but low eCPM. Well, hopefully the eCPMs will pick up when businesses start spending money on advertising again. Happened on both apps I had. Very weird. Cruz Mayer says, do you just convert it based on the density of each pixel or what? You're asking Ayush Pai. Tried the ASCII, image to ASCII app. It was great. Eric should try give it one day. Just convert the density for each pixel or what? Oh, yeah. Hi, Matthew Crick. Actually, mine actually climbed up a bit. Okay, for Corona. Monetize my app is a huge scam, says Cruz Meyer. I once won $1 million on Facebook drawing I never entered. Rizwan, aloha. How are you? Let's see. Roman says, regarding monetize my app, it also sounded suspicious to me. The strange thing was that it was supposed to earn money without ads. Yeah, that is suspicious. I didn't completely get how they make money. Yeah, I've had that. I've had similar things to that, Roman, where they say like, all we need is access to your microphone. I go, well, we kind of use the microphone in the app already, so right. Plus, creepy. Like what? Surely there's going to be suspension, and you're going to be like the thing that scares me about some of these third-party ad networks is they all tell you, oh no, it's totally fine, right? Where it's not against the rules or anything like that. But what Google plays like, they could either change their mind or they just don't know about it yet, right? You get to a certain amount of users and then they pull you down because they're like, wait, what are you doing? Why do you have the microphone? Why are you listening to everything they say? It wasn't me. It was this SDK. But it's like, what are you going to do then, right? You're like their drug mule. Did you pack this APK yourself? Yes, sir. Right, and then that's it. That's what they should be asking you. I once won $1 million. Facebook never entered. Huh? Let's see. And Tech Wei Ku says, does e-cigarette ban in the UK? No, I don't think so. I think they still have like the vaping and everything. I see people doing it. I don't do it myself. But I don't think there's no ban unless it's something brand new. But anyway, so I think that's the end of the questions. I hope I've answered all of them. I hope thanks very much for joining the live stream. It cheers me up. I've been having just a terrible, it's one of those days. I just been having one of those days. So thanks everybody for showing up. It really puts me in a better mood. I hope you guys have a fantastic week ahead. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys again here. We'll do the Overpass Insights during the week, and I'll talk to you again here next week for the live stream. Talk to you guys later. Bye.